Today on General Hospital, Nina fills Willow and Michael in on Sasha's condition, Finn and Liz make a date, and Yuri surprises Terry with a gift. At the hospital, Finn checks in with Liz, who is clocked out for the night. Finn asks her out to dinner, and she asks if this is a date that he's asking her out on. He confirms it is. She says this is awkward as she planned on asking him out and already made reservations. They both realize they've each made reservations at the Port Charles Grill. Yuri surprises Terry with a visit. She thought he'd still be in Russia. He explains he did all he could to get Valentin and Mayor Collins safely to where they needed to be. Yuri came to see her as he has something important to discuss. He says it's been a year since they began seeing one another, which is why he wants to give her something. She opens a box he hands her, and in it is a key to his apartment on a lightning bolt keychain. It symbolizes how they met over the Sicilian thunderbolt last year. He knows it's a big step. Terry sees Finn and Liz and tells Yuri she hates to cut him off, but needs to take care of something. She rushes off. Liz tells Finn that she's headed to the locker room to get ready and will meet him at the restaurant. Terry corners Finn about her offer to be her co-chief. He didn't think she was serious. He doesn't like administrative stuff, but she notes he is already a department head. She gets it and says giving up patients can be hard, but he'll be doing so much more as the co-head, and he'd be playing a role in saving every life that comes into the hospital. She tells him he doesn't have to answer now, but to keep it in mind. He agrees to think it over. Meanwhile, Yuri gets a call from Valentin, but the connection is poor, and he can't hear him. He asks if he and Laura are safe. Austin takes a call from Ava, who is worried about the nanny situation and if she could be a danger to Avery. Austin says as long as they play along with what Mason wants, nobody will get hurt. After hanging up, Austin gets a text from Mason demanding they meet in his office. Austin later finds Mason in his office, along with Gordon. Outside, Dex snoops elsewhere. Sonny assures Nina that he has contacts with Ferncliff and that he'll look after Sasha. Nina suddenly realizes she was supposed to meet Willow and the kids tonight. Sonny tells her to relax, and he's sure Willow will understand. Nana hopes Willow won't hold this against her, but thinks someone else will. Sonny says Michael and Carly won't hold this against her, and she needs to go see them and tell them about Sasha. He has a meeting with Ava and will see her later tonight. Dex reports back to Sonny, who says Austin went to his office and locked the door. Sonny tells Dex to keep on him. Back in Austin's office, Mason says Gordon is trying to extort additional funds from them, which Austin knows. Mason says that wasn't the plan. Gordon says that was before Sonny threatened him, and he wants an extra $100,000, or he'll go to Sonny and tell them what they've been doing behind his back. Mason tells Gordon his associate will meet him at the main entrance, and he'll get everything he's owed. However, after this, Gordon isn't to step foot in this state again. Liz catches Dex snooping outside Austin's office and pulls him away. He claims he got turned around, but Liz doubts that. She knows who he is and who he works for, and doesn't want funny business on her watch. Dex calls Sonny back and tells him about Gordon, who matches the guy he ran into the other day with Austin outside the restaurant. He says he's going to tail him and see where it leads. Meanwhile, Finn arrives at the Port Charles Grill and checks in. Liz arrives shortly after he does, and they smile at one another. Back at the hospital, Terry finds Yuri and is glad he's still here. He assumes his gift upset her when it was supposed to make her happy. Terry says she is happy, and she has something for him. She gives him the spare key to her place, which she normally keeps in her desk. He thanks her and they kiss. She asks if he's okay as he seems distracted. He explains he got a phone call from Valentin, but the connection was poor. He has a bad feeling that Valentin and Mayor Collins are in trouble. Dex heads out to the alley behind the hospital and finds Gordon's dead body hidden behind a dumpster. At Windermere, Eva's new butler, Giles, introduces Betty to Ava. Giles departs and Eva looks over her resume. Betty says the butler is gone so she can stop looking at her bogus resume. Betty states this job is hers and there is nothing she can do about it. Betty tells Ava that when this kid's father arrives, she needs to gush about how great she is. Ava asks what makes her think she can prove herself to Sonny. Betty says selling her to Sonny is Ava's job, and if she fails, there will be consequences. Ava knows Mason holds her life in his hands. Betty says not just hers and asks how long it's been since she called her mother. Betty suggests she give Delia a ring. Betty heads out to the terrace, and Ava calls her mother Delia. Delia relays she has a date with someone who is the dangerous type. Ava is stunned to learn this man is taking her to a cabin in Potok. Ava tries to advise her mother that this is a bad idea, but Delia has to go and hangs up. Ava heads out to see Betty and approaches her from behind. Betty warns her that's close enough, and she hate for her mother to pay for her hot temper. They head back inside, and Ava refuses to play this game. She demands Mason call off his plans for her mother, and until he does, she won't go along with any of this. Betty slaps her and reminds her who is calling the shots. Suddenly, Sonny appears and asks if he's interrupting. At the Quartermain gatehouse, Michael plays with Wiley, and both he and Willow wonder why Nina never showed up. Michael says she didn't even text, which is irresponsible, as they even kept Wiley out of camp for a few days to keep the bubble intact for her visit. Willow says there may be a reason Nina didn't show or text. Eventually, Nina shows up at the door, and Michael tells her that Amelia is sleeping and Wiley's about to go to bed. Willow says it's okay, so Michael lets her in. Wiley, who is playing nearby, sees Nina jumps for joy. Nina tells him how handsome he is. She heard he was a brave boy while his mommy was sick. Michael pulls Nina aside and says they don't need her reminding Wiley that his mom was sick, and she is supposed to be visiting Willow. Nina understands and wants to explain why she was late. She says she was at the hospital, and it's Sasha. She fills them in off-camera, and Michael decides to go make some calls. Michael steps outside and calls Sonny, and learns Sasha has been taken to Ferncliff. Sonny says he's a big donor to Ferncliff and Shady Brook, so she'll be looked after. Michael thanks him and calls him Dad, which seems to move Sonny. Back inside, Nina apologizes to Willow, but thought she should hear it from her. Willow appreciates not finding out about Sasha on the news. Nina says if she comes on too strong, to let her know and she'll do better. Willow says she's already doing better. Willow acknowledges that Nina's respected her boundaries and let go of her vendetta with Carly before anyone got hurt. Nina thinks about turning Carly and Drew into the SEC and says she wishes she had handled things differently with Carly. Willow knows, and she saw how she dropped everything to be there for Sasha. It's been a while since she saw that side of her. They sit down, and Willow thinks there is a way to see if they can fit into one another's lives, rather than accepting they don't. Nina has been waiting a long time to hear that. Wiley runs back over to Nina and shows him a toy as Michael returns. He says it's time for Wiley to get to bed, and Nina assumes that's her cue to go. Wiley asks Grandma Nina when she will come visit again. Willow tells the boy they'll talk about it. Carly arrives at Kelly's and changes the sign in the window from open to closed. Joss soon shows up and says she had to track her mother down on the family app since she wasn't answering her calls. Joss says she got a call from a classmate's mother who is interested in buying their house. Joss begs her mom to let her dip into her trust fund to help her, but Carly refuses. Carly explains she has a backup plan. They sit down, and Carly says while Bobby's been in Amsterdam dealing with Luke's affairs, she discovered that in the state of New York, a family member can gift a business to another member with no tax ramifications. Joss asks what she's saying. Carly says Bobby sold Kelly's to her for $1, and she'll pay her back in full one day. She plans to turn this place back into the heart of Port Charles as it once was back in the day. Joss again offers to help her get the Metro Court back, but Carly refuses. She says she's benefited from Sonny and Jax's financial security for years, but she can stand on her own 2 feet. Carly again swears she's going to get everything back she lost, and this is the first step in an amazing journey. In the Pentonville Library, Drew confronts Cyrus and says he still hasn't answered his question, is he responsible for Curtis being shot? Cyrus has no idea what this is about. Drew tells him about the shooting at the pool, but Cyrus says Curtis is of little interest to him. Drew points out Sonny was there too, and they both know he'd like to take him out. Cyrus swears his only interest nowadays is in God and doing his work. Cyrus knows Drew and Curtis risked their lives to save his nephew in Greenland, so he is forever in their debt. Book and another guy show up, and Drew can tell immediately they aren't friends of Cyrus. Book tells Cyrus to go find them a copy of Pet Sematary, but Drew thinks he can do it himself. Book notes it's been taking a long time to organize the shelves, and begins throwing the books around. Drew grabs him and asks Book if they've got a problem here. Book knows who Drew is and calls him a soft, pencil-pushing CEO. Drew says he's also an ex-Navy SEAL. Cyrus hands Book the book he was looking for, and Book thanks him and takes off. Cyrus thanks Drew, but Drew says he only did this because he hates bullies. Drew could see Cyrus was scared, and if he is being targeted to tell the warden. Cyrus refuses and says the warden won't help him, especially if it means crossing them. Drew asks what that means. Cyrus says he's already said too much. He advises Drew to keep his head down and not ask about Book and his associates. Drew jokes it almost sounds like he's a changed man, but he knows better. Cyrus says faith can change a man, and he should come to his services. Drew passes. Cyrus says he needs a family here to survive, so if he won't join his flock, he needs to find another.